Giving a direct order is the most expensive way to get something done. Most leaders think of orders as efficient tools for clarity and speed. They are mistaken. The debate between command and collaboration is ancient, with brilliant minds and proven leaders on both sides of the divide. One side argues for decisive action and unwavering control, the other for autonomy and emergent wisdom. Where do you stand? By the end of this, your answer might get more complicated. The case for the direct order is simple. It is clear, it is fast. In a crisis, ambiguity is the enemy, and a command is a weapon against it. Imagine a surgeon in a failing operation. She doesn't ask for a consensus on the next step. She says scalpel, suction, increase the epinephrine. Each command is precise, immediate, and requires zero interpretation. The team executes. They trust her judgment because in that moment, her mind holds the entire picture. The cognitive load of decision-making rests on one person, freeing everyone else to perform their specialized tasks with flawless speed. This is hierarchical leadership at its most effective. It saves lives. This model extends far beyond the emergency room. A fire crew captain pointing and yelling, "Get a line on that window," is preventing a flashover. A pilot instructing their co-pilot to run a checklist during an engine failure is following a protocol forged from 100 other disasters. In these domains, the how is just as important as the what. The procedure itself is the solution. A direct order is the most reliable way to ensure that procedure is followed without deviation. It provides a kind of psychological safety. The subordinate knows exactly what is expected, and the ultimate responsibility for the outcome rests with the commander. They are a functional part of a larger machine, and the leader is the operator. The order is the signal that makes the machine work. For many, this clarity is a relief. They can focus on mastery of their task, trusting that the leader is steering the ship correctly. In this view, a leader who hesitates to give a firm order when one is needed is failing. They are introducing fatal uncertainty into a system that requires absolutes. That sounds convincing. A perfect tool for high-stakes, time-sensitive situations. But there is a problem. What happens when the culture of the emergency room or the battlefield leaks into the daily operations of an organization? What happens when every task is treated like a crisis requiring a direct command? The leader becomes a permanent bottleneck. Every decision, big or small, has to flow through them. The collective intelligence of the entire team is capped by the knowledge and bandwidth of one person. The team's growth stagnates, they learn to wait for instructions, they stop thinking about the bigger picture because the bigger picture has been deemed irrelevant to their task. Their job is simply to execute the fragment of the plan they've been handed. They become a team of hired hands instead of a team of active minds. Initiative dies. It is starved of oxygen. The organization becomes incredibly efficient at doing exactly what it's told and incredibly fragile in the face of anything it wasn't told to expect. And yet, the other side has its own powerful logic, one born from the limits of that top-down control. This approach is called commander's intent. Instead of telling people exactly what to do and how to do it, a leader provides two things: the mission's ultimate objective and the desired end state. The why and the what it should look like when we're done. The how is left to the team on the ground. This idea was refined and popularized in the modern military for a reason. An army organized by direct orders is too slow and rigid to fight a decentralized, networked enemy. General Stanley McChrystal faced this fighting Al-Qaeda in Iraq. His elite special forces, operating on a traditional command and control model, were winning battles but losing the war. The enemy was adapting faster than his hierarchy could issue new orders. His solution was to radically decentralize. He stopped being the chess master, moving every piece on the board. He started being the gardener, creating an ecosystem of shared knowledge. He gave his teams the overarching intent to dismantle the enemy network, and then trusted them to figure out the best way to do it in their specific area of operations. He shared intelligence to a degree that made other generals profoundly uncomfortable. The result? Small, autonomous teams began making brilliant decisions on the fly, coordinating with each other without waiting for approval from the top. They were faster, more creative, and more resilient. This model pushes ownership down to the lowest possible level. It communicates trust. An order says, "I don't trust you to figure this out." An intent says, "I trust you to solve this, and you know the local situation better than I do." This taps into the deepest drivers of human motivation: autonomy, the desire to direct our own lives; mastery, the urge to get better at something that matters; and purpose, the yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. An order is a transaction. Fulfilling an intent is an act of ownership. One gets you compliance. The other earns you commitment. Think of it in a corporate setting. A manager tells their sales team, "Each of you needs to make 50 more cold calls this week." That's an order. The team will likely make the calls. They will burn out. The results will be mediocre because the activity is forced. Now, consider a different manager. She tells her team, "Our new competitor is signing clients we should have. We need to become the obvious choice for businesses in this sector. Our goal is to understand their needs so deeply that our solution becomes indispensable." What's our strategy? The first approach produces a list of completed tasks. The second produces market research, new sales scripts, product feedback, and a team that is actually engaged in winning. The first leader is playing checkers. The second is creating the conditions for chess. One is managing activity. The other is leading a mission. That sounds ideal. Empowered teams finding creative solutions. Who could argue against it? And yet this hands-off approach has its own blind spot, and it can be catastrophic. The danger of pure intent is chaos. When a goal is communicated without clear constraints, and when autonomy is granted without accountability, disaster follows. A vague mission can be interpreted in a dozen different ways, with teams working at cross purposes, duplicating effort, and burning through resources. A leader who refuses to give a clear, direct order when the team is lost, confused, or heading toward a cliff is abdicating their responsibility. They are disguising indecision as empowerment. This creates a culture of profound anxiety, where team members are desperate for clarity, but are given only philosophical goals. They are told to innovate, but with no budget. They are told to be bold, but with no guidance on what risks are acceptable. The Wells Fargo account scandal is a chilling case study in this failure mode. The high-level intent, driven from the top, was aggressive, relentless growth. A simple mantra, 8 is great, pushed the goal of every customer having 8 different accounts with the bank. This was the commander's intent. It was clear and repeated constantly, but the how was left to the frontline employees, who were placed under immense pressure with punitive quotas. The unstated but brutally enforced message was, hit the target or lose your job. In the absence of firm ethical guardrails, in the absence of a direct order saying, you will achieve this goal, but you will achieve it this way, and you will never, ever create an account without a customer's explicit consent. Thousands of employees did the only thing they could. They cheated. They created millions of fake accounts to satisfy the intent they were given. The leaders who set the goal could later claim they never ordered anyone to act unethically, but their refusal to define the boundaries of acceptable behavior was itself the problem. Intent without constraints is a license for the worst impulses to run wild. So we have a paradox. Pure command creates brittle, unthinking organizations. Pure intent risks chaos and irresponsible abdication. The friction is between execution and innovation. A direct order optimizes for perfect execution of a known task. An intent-based approach optimizes for creative solutions to a complex problem. The first assumes the leader knows the best way. The second assumes the team can discover a better way. Neither is a complete solution. The path forward lies in the space between them. The most effective leaders are masters of calibration. They don't have a single default style. They have a toolkit. They are fluent in both languages, the language of command and the language of intent. The genius is in knowing which to use, when, and with whom. For a new, inexperienced team working on a well-defined problem, more direct guidance is necessary. It's an act of service, providing the scaffolding they need to learn and succeed. To give that same team pure intent would be to set them up for failure. For a team of senior experts tackling an ambiguous challenge, a direct order would be an insult. It would stifle their creativity and signal a complete lack of trust. To give them anything less than broad intent would be to waste their talent. The true art is in the framing. A great leader can embed an order within a question. Instead of rewrite this code to be more efficient, it's our server costs are climbing and page load times are hurting user retention. What would it take to make this system 10 times more efficient? The problem is defined, The desired outcome is clear, the why is compelling, but the how is an invitation. It respects the engineer's expertise and makes them the hero of the story. They are being given a problem to solve, not a task to complete. This is the core of delegation. You delegate the problem, not the task. The effect is a team that feels a sense of ownership. When the solution is their own, they will defend it and improve it with a passion that no direct order could ever inspire. This dynamic changes the entire flow of information in an organization. In a command culture, information flows up, but it's heavily filtered. People tell the boss what they think the boss wants to hear. Bad news is softened, hidden, or delayed. The leader ends up making decisions with flawed data, completely isolated from the ground truth. A culture of intent does the opposite. Because everyone understands the ultimate goal, they feel responsible for providing any information that affects it. It empowers people to manage up. When Alan Mulally took over a failing Ford Motor Company, he implemented a system where all his top executives had to present their project status using a simple color code: green for on track, yellow for caution, red for a problem. For weeks, every single project was green. An impossible fantasy. Finally, one executive, Mark Fields, put a major vehicle launch in the red. The room went silent. Everyone expected him to be fired. Instead, Mulally started clapping. "Mark," he said, "thank you for the visibility. Now, what can we do to help you?" In that single moment, he changed the culture of the entire company. The intent was clear. The goal is to solve problems together. Bad news is a gift, because now we can act on it. In order to fix your problems would have driven the bad news further underground. An invitation to reveal problems created a path to solve them. So where does that leave us? The image of the decisive leader barking orders and moving mountains is a powerful one. It speaks to our desire for certainty in an uncertain world, but it's a model with a dangerously low ceiling. It builds a machine of hands, but starves the minds. On the other hand, the leader who speaks only in grand visions and refuses to provide clarity when it's needed is creating a different kind of dysfunction. They are a ghost in the machine, fostering anxiety and chaos while calling it empowerment. The true path is a tightrope walk. It is the constant, difficult calibration between providing direction and providing freedom. Think about the leaders in your own life. Think about the person you aspire to become. When is a direct order an act of life-saving clarity, and when is it a failure of imagination? Where do you draw the line between command and abdication?